Today, we're talking about Valve's huge video game hardware announcements, a brand new console, controller, and VR headset. Can the Steam store dominate on console like it does on PC? Plus, Nintendo dropped the first trailer for Super Mario Galaxy the movie. Will it be as good as the first film, or could it be even better? And finally, we're reacting to the new trailer for Fallout Season 2. Will it live up to the awesome first season, or could the series be losing steam? Stick around for all that and more. Welcome, friends, to Good Playing with You, your weekly gaming news roundup. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my constant company of Matts, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matthew Moulding.
Hey now, a lot of reaction this week. We're reacting to everything.
A lot of great stuff to talk about. But before we hit the headlines this week, we're only 159 subs away from our goal, so if you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. All right, gentlemen, with that out of the way, let's jump into those headlines of the week. First up, Valve has some huge hardware announcements that we have to discuss. They officially announced the Steam Machine, the Steam Controller, and the Steam Frame VR headset, all coming out in 2026. The big headline is that the Steam Machine itself, a tiny 6-inch cube that Valve says has over 6 times the horsepower of the Steam Deck. It's designed to play basically your entire Steam library, and they're aiming for 4K at 60 frames using their upscaling tech. It comes in 2 storage options, the 512 gigs or 2 terabytes, and Valve even joked that the thing is so small it could, quote, hide under a banana. Anyway, they showed off the brand new Steam controller, which features advanced thumbsticks, motion controls, touch pads, back grip buttons, basically everything you'd want when you're playing shooter strategy games or anything in between. And then there's the Steam Frame, a standalone VR headset running Steam OS. You can play VR games on it without a PC, but if you do want more power, you can wirelessly connect to the Steam Machine for even bigger titles. Even works as a big screen viewer for non-VR content. So, gentlemen, a new horse enters the race for the living room screen. What do you guys think? Are they positioning themselves to compete with the big three? Or this is going to be more for the hardcore PC crowd only? What do you think?
I think they're going to be attracting the casual gamer with this one. This is going to be really attractive. And I would like to, should we start on each individual little piece? I think we start first with the Steam Machine, which is like we have.
Is that what it's called, the Steam Machine? Because that's pretty awesome. I kind of like it.
It is cool. And boy, do I think that little cube is rather sexy. That is a nice piece of hardware that I think that was what the Series X was striving for. And I think Valve really knocked it out of the park. Now, you mentioned I think the storage is not too much of a concern.
Yeah,
I think
was
502
that is
terabyte.
A concern, isn't it?
That is the 500 gigabyte option. Is you can maybe work with that and squeeze out, you can get a couple games on there, but I think the 2 terabyte option is going to come at a obviously a steeper cost.
Moulding, real quickly, I want to throw to you because
yes,
Lord is a guy. Lord is the PC guy. He loves all this PC tech. He loves Steam. He loves his Steam Deck. So of course he's fired up about it. You're more of a console guy. How does this strike you?
I think this is a console killer. I think Xbox better batten down the hatches because I think this is a killer for it. Because one of the reasons the main reason I don't play PC games is I don't want to sit at my desk and play games. I want to sit on my couch and play games. So if I can play PC games from my couch, you got a winner for me. Did I knock your socks off?
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you were actually this pro.
No, there's so many, like a lot of strategy games come out on PC that I can't play because you need a mouse and keyboard usually to play.
Right, before we jump on the controller, though, I do have to say regarding the console, look, I all for this too. I think Microsoft should definitely be quaking in their boots. They should be a little bit nervous here, except for the fact that this is running the Steam OS. And yes, they say you can install other operating systems on it, but knowing that the Steam OS is a Linux-based operating system, it's not going to be able to run some of these kernel-based anti-cheat shooters. And I think you have to have shooters on your console if you're going to get under the living room TV.
And that is a very great point. And there is already talks that, like, I don't know if this is coming from Discord, but some sort of correspondence from Steam. They were saying that was a big concern. They're saying, okay, if this is going to be as big as we think it is, these developers are going to get behind, supporting Linux based systems. And I was like, that is amazing. Like, I really hope that is the case. And I'm with you. They have to have like the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, and
Agreed.
And so, yeah, I definitely think this is a great step in making that a reality.
I hope for your sake, because I know you love those games and I know you love your Steam Deck, so it would definitely be nice for you. But that just goes back to prove the old adage that software moves hardware, meaning if Valve really wants to launch this as a console, where's Half-Life 3? They need to be bringing the games to this thing. Just putting hardware there isn't enough for it to be adopted rapidly. They have to support it with some must-have software, something that's, Xbox is dying because it doesn't have any exclusives. What are the Valve exclusives? Yes, I know there are a lot of PC games that are great and that are exclusive to PC, but Valve needs to actually generate some headlines here if they want to move their hardware. Otherwise, I just don't see the adoption being that fast. I'm not saying it's not going to be popular, but they need to really invest in this machine and not just the hardware. It needs to have games for it as well.
Team Fortress 3, Portal 3, and Half-Life 3. Those are
that would do it. That would do it.
The trifecta. Well, just give us Orange Box 2. That's all they need to do.
And the rumor mill is in full effect. I mean, that Half-Life subreddit is going off the hook, and people are thinking that all this hardware is just, it's inevitable. We're getting that Half-Life 3 announcement, and people are speculating early 2026, very closely aligned with the release of this hardware. Maybe not right away, but I think it's going to be I think it could be the same day. It could be that
it'll be shadow dropped too.
Shadow dropped.
Be like,
I mean,
here it is. Here's Half-Life 3.
Maybe like an announcement a week before. People are saying maybe the Game Awards, but I think Valve can do their own thing at this point.
So question on the console itself, was anything said? Is it modular? Can you replace items within this? And can you attach an external hard drive to it? So you can buy the 500 and blah, blah, blah gig machine and then put your own SSD onto it.
Yeah. Going off of what I can do on the Steam Deck, this thing is going to be able to do whatever the Steam Deck can do, just even better. So yeah, I'm sure fully modular. I'm sure you can swap parts easy.
I know there are parts that are being swapped.
And then you can do an external hard drive, no problem, on the Steam Deck as well.
And they have fancy collectible faceplates.
That is really cool.
That's such a gimmick.
I love that.
Really?
Yeah, I loved. When I saw it, I was like, that's kind of like a cool little. I think I just like the design of it so much that something silly like cosmetics like that I wouldn't normally be into, but I'm like, man, it just looks so good. It looks very next gen to me. I think the LED light looks just sharp. It looks like they knew what they were doing with that design.
Well, we definitely can hope. Before we move on to the controller, though, I want to pick each one of your brains real quickly. What do you think the ideal price is, and what do you think the realistic launch price is going to be?
$499 is the ideal price. The actual price is going to be $799.
You're probably right on.
Yeah, that was
really good.
Yeah, that was pretty spot.
I just that right out of my butt.
Honestly, my ideal price to get it into everybody's households, especially casual gamers, I think. Well, there's two kinds, So I think it'll, you'll have a $399 system. Ideally $399 and then $500 for the 2 terabyte, which I don't know if that's going to be possible. And then I think $699, was realistic. I think $699 and then
this price is right. Are you trying to under?
Yeah, I'm going for the undercut.
$698. Yeah, $1. Yeah. No, I think you guys are really spot on. I think the real thing here is people are looking at this device and the components, and they're saying, this is pretty much equal to a PlayStation 5. And therefore, I think if you're really going to compete with console gamers and not try and, PC players will definitely pay more. Console players, however, are going to be a little bit more price sensitive. Of course, they're going to love the deals that you can get on software, but they're not going to want to pay more than a PlayStation 5. And that's why I really think that $399, $499, those are the sweet spots. What I'd love to see those launch at, because that would be very competitive. However, I don't think that price is realistic. And I'm looking at $599, $699 for these two devices.
Yeah. And I would like to also just say, I think Valve wouldn't mind eating the cost on this, because this is just something that I've been thinking about. I think they just want to get as many people into their Steam marketplace ecosystem, and they just print money in that place. So if they have more,
I agree. Great point.
They just have more people in the ecosystem on a system that they might have lost $150 on per sale. They'll make up for it in 6 months for a new gamer. If you're a new gamer going into the Steam marketplace, you're about to drop like $300 like immediately. So you'll recoup the money just in a different way. And I don't think, like consoles really, they have that digital old library, but not like Steam really does. It just is so vast.
No, I agree. All right, now we got to move on because we have a lot to talk about, but let's just touch on those controllers real quickly. Give me your first impressions and price.
So about the controller, it's a little clunky. I love the touchpads because we're going to need some mouse action for a console game. For playing on your couch, you're going to need those touchpads, but that controller is kind of ugly and kind of clunky, and so I don't know how it's going to fit my hands. It doesn't look very comfortable, but I'll say that the GameCube controller looked nuts, and that controller was super comfortable, so it could shock us.
Yeah, plus
and
one
your price
for the game.
Your price? You mean if I were to buy it on its own, $99? That's what they're going to charge you for it.
I'll just say right off the bat, I think you're right on the price molding. I think $100 is spot on. I think you can't really beat. I love that you can do the wireless charging with it. I think that's awesome. I use the trackpads all the time on the Steam Deck playing like Dawn of War or RTS games. So this is truly the first step getting much more sophisticated controls for console players, basically. I think this is awesome. I think the controller, in my opinion, is a no-brainer. I think I'm going to buy it, play it on my normal PC, and just call it a day. I mean, I know it looks it honestly, aesthetically, it doesn't look the best, but I think it's going to have a lot of functionality, and I'll be day oneing that one for sure.
As someone who's not familiar with those trackpads on the Steam Deck, are they accurate? Could they function as mice?
Yes, 100%. And people do. I don't. I'm still such a joystick kind of guy. People play like FPSs and they do everything on the trackpads. But I'm more of just RTSs.
That piques my interest then. And what's your price for it?
I'm going to say $100. Yeah, $100 like molding.
Yeah, I got to agree with you guys both. It is a little bit of bummer that this does have a battery already installed with it. I love the Xbox version where I can hot swap in case my battery dies and I don't have to replace the full controller after 3 years or so. Looking at you, Sony. So I would agree. I'm going to just, for argument's sake, I'm going to say they're going to try and make this get more adopted widely, and maybe it'll be as low as $69, and that's
smoking. Whatever it is, I'd like a little bit of it.
I like where Dan's head's at. I like
where it is too, but it's crazy.
I think a lot of this stuff is going to be cheaper than what we're going for. I think it's going to be a shocker. I'm
more expensive than what we're thinking.
No, they want to get this stuff out. They're going to be competitive. It's going to be a really competitive situation. I'm really curious to see what they land on.
Do either of you use the trackpad on the PS5 controller? I don't know that I've ever used it.
You mean the map button? It's for the map.
Yeah. No,
I've never used it as a mouse.
I'm trying to think if there's anything. I think there was something in Death Stranding 2 that you used it for, but I can't even remember.
Okay.
It's always the map in every game I play.
Yeah.
No, you're definitely right there. But I think the position of this one might lend itself to actually being used. So We'll see. It really depends on if the accuracy is on there. And I know that we're not huge into VR. I dipped my toe into it this year, and well, I kind of got burned because I wasn't a huge fan of the Meta
Get it
Quest.
bitten
But
off.
yeah, exactly. I lost it. R.I.P. But the Steam frame glasses, they do look pretty slick. They're launching so much here. Will this get lost in the shuffle? Are you guys interested? And what do you think the price?
Not interested. I do like it that it doesn't need to be attached to anything. That is an essential piece of any VR headset, is that you got to have your freedom of movement. Price, I'm going to say that is $5.99.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
No, this thing's gonna be $1,000.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Oh,
expensive.
wow. Oh, you
Oh,
think
yeah.
I'm under it? Oh.
I think so. This thing's gonna be pretty expensive, unfortunately, because I think this is gonna be this is gonna be the hidden gem in all of this. I'm calling that
Really?
also. This is gonna be, I think, the game changer VR. That if Valve is doing this because they believe in this piece of hardware, they're not gonna put out anything at this point if they don't believe in it like wholeheartedly. I think this is gonna come it through, and it's gonna be really hard to get. Dan, for the remotes, it's battery powered. I thought of you immediately when I saw that little spec.
Nice.
And yeah, I think it's going to work really well. People have already been, people who had their first impressions on it said they really enjoyed it and liked the look. I think this could be awesome. I don't think it's for me, but who knows? I still think it's going to be really popular, and this is going to like do a lot for the VR environment right now.
A
Nice.
VR renaissance?
Yeah, VR renaissance.
I don't know if we're quite there for the VR Renaissance just yet. I'm all for it because I love the technology and the idea, and we all, of course, want the holodeck to work. But after playing the Meta Quest, which is several years after I first bought the Oculus Rift, and not seeing the improvements that I think need to be there before the technology gets widely adopted, I see this as the redheaded kind of stepchild in the family of hardware suites. I think this one gets shoved under the rug pretty quickly. I could be wrong, though. That could be the console itself. But it's definitely going to be pricier. And I'm guessing because it comes with the controllers and because of the technology used in it, it's going to be $1,000 as well. That's where I'm landing for sure.
Okay, I'm going to up my estimate to a $10.99 then.
Ooh.
I'll put it right.
That's not too shabby.
Yeah.
You guys are right. I was way under. Totally.
Well, speaking of companies with a lot of money, let's talk about Nintendo. And this time, instead of talking about their latest video games, let's talk about their latest movie. Malden, you have the story for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got 2 huge new trailers this week for game adaptations, which have always been a sticky situation. But in these cases, I think fans are in good hands. First up is big movie news from the Mushroom Kingdom. The sequel to the Super Mario Brothers movie has officially been announced as the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It dropped a teaser during its own Nintendo Direct this week, showing the Mushroom Kingdom's cast reassembling. The superstar voice cast returns with Chris Pratt, Anna Taylor-Joy, Charlie Day, and Jack Black as Bowser, fresh off chomping down on that pesky mini mushroom at the end of the first film. New additions include Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr. and Brie Larson as Princess Rosalina. The film is tentatively scheduled for April 2026. So, boys, what did you think of this one? Did anything stand out to you? What are your hopes, worries, predictions? And am I going to have to play Super Mario Galaxy before this one comes out to understand what's happening?
Lord.
I thought the trailer was great. I loved the first one. I think they're on to something with this one. I loved the little skit sort of bit with Mini Bowser at the beginning. I thought it was really cute. And then whatever was going on at the end. Wait, with just Bowser. And then there's Mini Bowser, right? That's Benny Softy's character.
No, Mini Bowser was Bowser, and then Bowser Jr. was
Bowser Jr. Gotcha. Yeah,
he came in there at the end with the
yes, and he had like the liquid metal setup, and he had the chain. I thought that was badass. And then Rosalina at the end with fighting the robot. I thought everything looked really cool. I wanted to see a little bit more of what, obviously Galaxy, you want to see like the worlds and stuff, the mini worlds and fly around. I'm curious to see how they fit that into the movie, but I thought it was good. It was a good turnout. I'm excited for the sequel.
I gotta agree on this one. I'm probably more hyped for this one, even though the trailer wasn't as good as the first trailer. But the first movie was pretty good. But this is Super Mario Galaxy, one of the best platformers of all time. Only eclipsed maybe by Super Mario Galaxy 2. They are some of the best games, and man, oh man, I'm gonna lose my shit if there is a Super Mario Galaxy 3 game tie-in announced along with this coming out next year. That is my hope. Maybe that's what they've been holding back for the Switch 2 is another Super Mario Galaxy. And man, oh man, I would flip out. I thought this trailer was super great. Of course, I love all of the elements. They brought in stuff from Super Mario 64 and Galaxy and Mario Paint, and there were so many nods to so many of the games. It was fantastic. First, I was a little confused because I forgot that Bowser had eaten the mini mushroom, so I was surprised that he was so small. And then I got to be honest with you, I was really shocked that the one line we heard Chris Pratt Mario say was, "It's trash." And he was a jerk. And I was like, this little Bowser is so adorable. I could watch a whole movie about mini Bowser. And then Mario comes and is like, he's a jerk. And so I had to that's when I got into Reddit and I tried to figure out why Mario was a jerk. And people were like, well, maybe, Bowser's playing nice as a fake and Mario sees through it, or maybe there's something going on behind the scenes we don't know. And so I was like, okay, there has to be a reason that I can't handle Mario being a jerk. I feel betrayed. My childhood's a lie. But other than that, a small detail.
Childhood? All right.
I'm emotionally invested is what it is. I'm here for this. I think it's going to be better than the first one easily, just with the fact that it has to do with Galaxy. And if they have a tie-in game, I'm going to be I'm going to lose my shit.
It was interesting. Speaking of the trash, just Chris, it sounded like Chris Pratt when he said it too. I was like, there's Chris Pratt, saying it's trash.
His Mario sounded, in the first one, he sounded like Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
He sounds like Chris Pratt and everything.
Sounded even more Chris Pratt. I was like, he didn't even try to do Mario there. What? Okay. Yeah. So the conclusion is he's just, man, I want to get on that deep dive train, Dan, is what I'm trying to say.
Can you explain to me, as someone who hasn't played Super Mario Galaxy, what is the concept of them going to these are these full other planets that they fly to? Because you do see Peach, and I think maybe it was Toad, flying to another planet, like a water planet. Is that what it is? They're whole planets?
Yeah, well, of various sizes. And they've got a ship that you fly around with Rosalina when she comes in, and then there's these little luminous sprite things that come in, and star bits that you have to collect. But some of the planets are very, very small, and you can 360 around them. And they're really cool boss fights. And some of the planets are super huge, and then they've got just tons of different styles and types, and there's a haunted house planet that Luigi goes to, of course, and there's just tons. So there's infinite stuff that they can think of and do here, and that's what has me so excited, because they play with gravity and they play with all of the different creatures in the outer space, and they have some of the best boss battles in the entire series in Galaxy, and I hope they pull from all of that.
It definitely blew Minecraft movie trailer out of the water. Yes. I would see this movie 100 times before I would watch the Minecraft movie. And it also does that thing where it's for kids, but then you hear adult jokes, like Bowser saying, if I don't get my 9 hours, I'm a monster. That's a kid joke, but it's also a joke that, adults can.
And then he squashes his tail in the door, that I thought was kind of funny.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah. And then, is there anything special about that wand that Rosalina has? Is that her weapon in games?
Yeah.
Is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, speaking of other things that looked great, the Fallout trailer looked pretty amazing too. But before we dive into that, let's talk about our sponsor, Molden.
Yeah, this week's episode is brought to you by our friends at Instant Riot. Be sure to check out instantriot.com for fresh shirts weekly through the holidays with funny game crossovers and some irreverent elf humor. And Instant Riot is the official partner for Good Playing With You merch. Enter code GEEKGIFT for 10% off your order this holiday season. So big thank you to our friends over there at Instant Riot.
Yep, thank you.
Next up is the trailer for Fallout Season 2, which released yesterday. The Amazon Bethesda adaptation picks up where the first season left off, with Lucy and the ghoul now chasing her father into New Vegas. We see vaults, we see some ghoulified Kings members, Death Claws, Rad Scorpions, and Mr. House, played by one of my favorite actors, Justin Theroux. This lands on Amazon Prime quickly, December 17th, next month, less than 30 days, basically. So, boys, what did you think? Did you guys enjoy the first season? Did either of you play Fallout New Vegas? And do you think it even matters to be able to enjoy the second season?
Well, I didn't really like the first season that much, and so I didn't finish it. I was like,
Oh my God, you're
I know. I was like,
crazy.
I watched like 3 eps, and I was like, nah, I don't know. I'm just kind of I got like
Oh,
maxed out. I don't know what happened, but I just like I don't know if it was just because like just so many people were so into it at the time, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm in. I
I've
gotta
been
get
there.
out.
I'm not going
You know,
to watch this
I
because
feel
so many
like
people
maybe
love
that's
it.
what it
I've
is.
said that so many
I'm
times.
sure if I go back, but let me say this: after watching this trailer, I was like, I felt the need to go back and watch because I was like, oh, this looked really cool, and I really want to see New Vegas, and I really want to be filled in on the story because I feel like I missed out, and then so that's really where I netted out with this one.
Good call.
I gotta agree. I think this looks like a lot of fun. I did like the first season. I didn't love it, but I did really enjoy it. And man, you could just watch that first season for the money because they spent a lot of it on there, and it was beautiful to see on the screen. So many of the creatures you talked about, the death claws and the scorpions and the roaches and all that sort of stuff, are gross and awesome, and they didn't shy away from it. And it was really fun. This one looks to be just as gross, if not grosser. Like the part where they have the mouse exploding and stuff like that. There's some dark humor there, and I'm like, man, this one looks like they really are upping the ante. I think the first one was such a success. They felt like, okay, we can spend the money, we can go here. Bringing in New Vegas is going to bring in a great location. You really see it at the end. You just the shot of it, and it looks fascinating. But also, just as fascinating were some of the celebrity cameos in there. And like I saw Macaulay Culkin in there for like 2 seconds, I swear. And then there was a couple others, and I was just like, wow, they are really just going all out for this. The fact that they're hyping this now and it's only like a month away, man, that's the sweet spot. That's going to be like when you're on your couch wanting to watch something crazy over the holidays. And this has like holiday hit written all over it.
This is what I wish almost every entertainment property did, was start promoting something 30 days before it happens.
Right.
Because this like 6-month stuff, 1-year stuff, 3-year stuff, no, put that away. Tell it to me a month before it comes out, get me hyped, and I'll be way more excited when it comes out. Yes, you're totally right. They definitely spent money on this. It's already renewed for a 3rd season, so we don't need to worry about any cliffhangers or not being able to figure out anything going on in the next season. So that's great. One of my issues kind of with the first season, and it is kind of looking like this season, it seems like they do have a checklist of, oh, we need to have a death claw, we need to have a red score, we need, like, I love that we're seeing all that stuff, but it does feel kind of checklisty. But that might only because we're seeing it in a trailer and it's like cut, seeing all those things come one right after the other. So that's probably why I feel that. And I also don't remember if dog meat was in the first one, but we got to see some dog meat in here, so I was appreciative of that.
And the word is that the voice you're kind of hearing in the background is a super mutant. Did you hear this?
It did say that's totally what I thought it was.
Yes.
When I heard
so you're getting like a super mutant companion at some point, and
I think so.
because I did a little deep diving as well. I was doing some sleuthing, and I was like, okay, like a super mutant, I would like to see that on screen. I'm sure it'd be pretty twisted the way they come up with it. So I'm totally down.
Yeah, me too. I just have to find one of those recaps somewhere because the first season was great, but it set up so much stuff, especially with the military and some of the threads there. And so a lot of it came together and it was a satisfying conclusion to the first season, but there was so much that they had started. I'm like, man, I need to remember this all before I jump in because there's just so much in this world going on.
Agreed.
Yeah. I'll probably just watch it again. I got nothing but time.
I was gonna say I'm just gonna have to watch. I'm that far behind. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a flagship property and an awesome show for Amazon. But speaking of flagship properties that aren't doing so well, Sony's recently been bagging on Destiny. Lord, you have
Yeah.
this story for us.
Yeah. So Sony's takes a $204 million hit as Destiny 2 falls short of expectations. This is from GameSpot's Lan Pitts. Sony has confirmed that Destiny 2 has fallen short of expectations, forcing the company to record an estimated $204 million impairment related to Bungie's assets. During its Q2 FY 2025 earnings call, Sony acknowledged that the popular shooter's player engagement and revenue has been weaker than anticipated since the 2022 acquisition of Bungie for $3.6 billion. This is in quotes.
Oof.
Regarding Destiny 2, partially due to changes in the competitive environment, the level of sales and user engagement has not reached the expectation we had at the time of the acquisition of Bungie, CFO Lin Tao explained. So, boys, is Sony regretting this purchase at this point? Also, does this just put an insane amount of pressure on Marathon as that's coming down the pipe here soon? What do you think?
Marathon already had a huge amount of pressure on it because they pulled it back and now they're going to release it. And I think it is going to tank. And I think there are going to be some serious repercussions over at Bungie and Sony because of it. Destiny is not this last update, this last
Yeah.
DLC or whatever
What's up with
expansion.
Destiny?
Yeah, Dan and I are usually on the same page with this.
Yep.
We won't play it until it goes on sale. We do. I love Destiny. I think Dan loves Destiny too. It's a fun game in these short spurts when you can play these expansions and when they put out a bunch of stuff to do. It's just not a game that I'm like really jazzed about every time I hear about it, and I'm assuming that a lot of people probably feel the same way. Maybe I don't
I
know.
definitely
Fun
agree.
game. It's beautiful. Best sound design in a shooter by far. It's got incredible sound design.
I agree, but I think the true test for Bungie will be this winter when the Renegades Star Wars crossover
Yeah.
happens. If they're not able to get people back into the game for Star Wars, I don't see that them ever getting their audience back. And as you guys mentioned with Marathon, I think that we could hear some bad headlines for Sony in the new year if things don't turn around here. It is a shame because I love the idea of the shooter and the way they have it set up and the living world. I don't love their monetization techniques and the different things they've got in the game, like dungeons and the keys you have to use to unlock them, which are in a microtransaction above just getting the expansion. So that felt a little bit cheap, and those things don't go on sale. So they don't have enough content there that I think is affordable for me to stay, like Malding was saying, for the full time. I just dip in and dip out. The most recent expansion with the morph ball thing just was not well received. It wasn't interesting to me. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I'm not jumping in this winter. And until they have a new sale or change their monetization practices, I am out. So they really need to figure out what they're doing with this game. I still believe in Destiny, and I think their best bet is to go all in on Destiny 3 with everything that they've learned with Destiny 1, Destiny 2, change their monetization a little bit, and I think that would save the franchise. I don't know that this new Renegades thing is going to do much for it. And so hopefully Sony is willing to bet big on that $3 billion purchase and not write it all off.
Yeah, I'm just surprised when I hear this type of thing because in my mind, Destiny's always been slaying it. Like I know people who have been playing it literally from it when it dropped them. So I'm like, there's no way this thing isn't just printing cash for Sony. And then you hear a headline like this and you're like, something just isn't adding up. Like that doesn't make sense. Like they like something funky has to be going on. I think that makes sense. It has to be something along the lines of the way the monetization in the game is acting up. Yeah, I think you nailed it. If things aren't going on sale, probably long time, whales aren't spending the same amount of money in there. It's nervy. I mean, I mean, there's no way Bungie would never like go under. I mean, I
Oh,
don't
I
see that.
think any of these companies would go under. I
Yeah.
think these people, the bigger corporations that own them would sell them and pull them apart if it
Yeah.
meant bigger profit for them in a
For
heartbeat.
sure.
Ugh. Ooh, scary
Yeah.
times.
Definitely scary times. But Sony had more updates during that presentation besides bagging on Destiny. Lord, you had one other story you wanted to talk
Yeah.
about real quick.
So this is interesting. Sony announces cheaper Japanese language only PS5 just for Japan. So revealed during its State of Play Japan broadcast, the cheaper 825 gigabyte PS5 digital edition costs 55,000 yen, approximately 350 US dollars, and comes out on November 21st, 2025. For comparison's sake, the base PS5 with the disk drive currently costs $549 in the US, and the PS5 digital edition costs $499. The PS5 Pro, meanwhile, costs $749. Releasing a cheaper PS5 model in Japan will be a key part of Sony's strategy to expand sales of the console and grow PlayStation's user base. So,
1 second, let me cut you off.
yeah,
So just to cut to the quick here, the same
yeah,
models based in the United States and the same model based in Japan, 350 and then a 500. So they have $150
yeah,
discount compared to us, just to
yes,
compare
yes,
apples to
uh-huh,
apples.
yep,
Wow.
150, yeah. It currently
I
costs,
mean, one word,
well,
tariffs.
yeah, 150, jeez.
Right?
Wait,
Like
what were you gonna
that's
say,
what it
Malding?
is. Like tariffs, that's what it is,
Yeah,
right? Like they can
I
of
mean,
course sell it for much cheaper in Japan. They're probably made in either Japan or China and they don't have to worry about any tariffs right now, so they can sell it cheaply. And PlayStation is like beats Microsoft Xbox hands down in the in China and Japan. So they've already got a leg up and they've already got an installed base. So they're just making it bigger.
it seems like not desperate to get players out there, but it's like, don't I thought they wouldn't need to go this low to like sell the PS5 in Japan, because I thought these things were already so popular. $350 just seems cheap to me.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. I think they announced that the PlayStation 5 outsold like all of the lifetimes of Xboxes. And they're talking about how that was a headline this week. And they're talking just about how powerful the brand is and that sort of stuff. I think what this really is a middle finger to, Trump and the tariffs and that sort of thing. Because if you hear what they're saying we're introducing a console that's $350, but it is Japanese only, meaning, sorry, Americans, there is no way to change the language settings. So don't even bother trying to import this into your region. We've region locked this so hard that you can't get one even if you want to try. And that, I think, is a big FU to consumers because they're just really, really making sure that only Japan can do it. And they're saying, look, we can produce this for cheaper. You're just not letting us.
I think we need an English speaking PS5 only, and it's $900.
Yeah. No,
it's
you're headed in the wrong direction, my
it's,
friend.
it's the super tariff edition of the PS5. I'd like to see that real quick.
Let me add, my transition into a PS player started this week because
Oh,
I brought my Xbox account down to just the 99 or 9.99 version, and I bought myself the PlayStation Game Pass, and I started playing Ghost of Tsushima this week,
oh,
and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'll just put it out there. That transition is happening.
dude, that's awesome, Alding. I want to hear more about that. I did play some Fortnite on the PS5, Dan. I saw some Simpsons too. So yeah, the PS5 has been in rotation, you know?
Nice. Glad to hear it. And I'm glad to hear that you're canceling your Game Pass Ultimate because F Microsoft for that price raise. I'm not getting over it. I'm still angry. And
Yep,
you can mark that
as
off
you
your
should be.
bingo card, Ross, because I'm still pissed about the Game Pass and I'm going to continue to be for the rest of the year. That's one thing
Yep,
that's not going to
bingo.
change. But speaking of Fortnite, though, that you brought up, I do want to touch on that real quickly just to get your guys' opinions, because this is a story that came out this weekend. It's small, but I thought it was interesting because, of course, I love Fortnite so much. But essentially, Fortnite's making a pretty controversial move, and Epic is going to be offering loot box style mechanics in its creator made islands. So it won't be in the regular battle royale, but creator made islands can go hog wild, apparently. They're now called, quote, paid random items. And these are basically loot boxes that creators can sell inside their own custom Fortnite experiences. Epic says there are rules here, like disclosing the odds, not targeting minors, and avoiding misleading language. But outside of those guardrails, creators will have a lot of freedom to build whatever randomized reward systems they want. Epic is adamant that this, quote, isn't gambling, but players are already raising eyebrows because the mechanics function almost exactly like a traditional loot box. The bigger reason here, though, that this is happening is because of Roblox. Roblox already allows loot style box microtransactions, especially in its biggest games, and are massively profitable for them. Epic's clearly trying to keep up with the race with the user generated content, especially now that Fortnite creators can sell their own in game items and earn a larger cut than Roblox creators do. The mix of creativity and monetization could lead to some cool ideas or some pretty gnarly monetization. So, gentlemen, what do you think? Is Fortnite expanding creative freedom here, or are they going to just open Pandora's box?
Pandora's loot box? Is that
Exactly.
is that the joke? I love loot boxes, but only if you can get them free. If it's a loot box where I'm gonna have to pay for it, I maybe during Overwatch 1 paid for like 5 loot boxes during that time. I'll never use real money. I love to be able to get them for free. So I'm very pro loot box. I would never even play a Fortnite user generated world. So that's not even for me. So I don't really care.
Oh, you nailed it, Malling. But like, user generated worlds are, I like, didn't they just get that crackdown that was like, there was 100% bots in there or something, and they did like the FBI raid? Because I think those things are like truly not real. If you could do the loot boxes and then use them in the normal world, I'd be more interested in that. But yes, I think this is definitely, it is a slippery slope. If you're doing like a pay to win type of situation, I don't think that should be allowed in any sort of loot box capacity. But I think doing loot boxes for cosmetics and stuff I think it's great. Like, let the boys have some fun, crack a couple loot boxes.
Yeah, it's personal responsibility. If you want to spend that
Totally.
real money for fake shit, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to do it.
Totally agree.
Well, I think this one really is opening Pandora's loot box, as Malding said, because you got to think of the audience here. Yes, all of these user-made experiences are crap because I've played them all, so I can tell you. I mean, I'll go in there on occasion for a little bit here and there, but they are filled with children, and this
That's
is
true.
totally predatory, just like Roblox. It is completely predatory, and adults don't understand these games. I would say the majority of people that are going to buy these things are going to be kids, and they're going to be cosmetics. It could be pay to win. That wasn't one of the guardrails that Fortnite set up. So these things can totally take advantage of children. I think we're going to see some real headlines and some real issues with this going forward. And I think they're going to make so much money, they're not going to care.
Yeah. And just to one step further, I mean, yes, for us, we never had loot boxes as we were growing up, so who knows what that gambling little system is doing to their little feeble minds. Like that could be really that could be rewiring their brain in a certain way that we would just have no idea like what that's doing. So yes,
That
I
generation
agree.
is doomed anyway. So
Yeah,
They really are.
They're in a tough spot.
I agree. Yeah, it's totally messed up. They're taking advantage of these children. I think not only someone should look at this, but someone should clearly be looking at Roblox. Look, I know you got your grow a garden in Roblox. I see your little headlines, but it's a bullshit effing ugly game. And there are far better games, real games out there. And there are going to be kids that are growing up playing these trash little experiences and don't know that Super Mario Galaxy exists out there because the only thing they grew up on are these trash games, and it is a tragedy.
I agree.
Yep. So sorry, next generation, you're effed. But speaking of effing things up, let's talk about Pokopia. Is that what it's called? Pokopia?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Pokemon Pokopia appears to be the
Yes.
first Nintendo published Switch 2 game to be on a game keycard. So this is from VGC's Jordan Midler. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company confirmed today that Pokemon Pokopia, which is being developed by Koei Tecmo, will be released March 5th. However, in a separate video also published today titled Using Game Keycards on Nintendo Switch 2, a sample box and card for Pokemon Pokopia was shown, which shows the game as an example of a game keycard. VGC has reached out to the Pokemon Company for confirmation that the Pokemon Pokopia will indeed be released as a game keycard. There was no confirmation fully, but I think that's the smoking gun that they're using this thing as an example and they have it on the box. I think that's all the clarification we need. Is this a total game or total deal breaker for you? I mean, for me, yes, this is a deal breaker. I need these games to be physical, no doubt. What do you guys think?
I'm not going to be buying this stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much to me. But I want corporations to stand by what they said. And if Nintendo said, hey, our first party ish, even though this, I think, technically doesn't really fall under first party, I'm not quite sure the legality of that or how it all organizes. But they said, hey, games are going to be actual physical games, not key cards. And then all of a sudden, here this one is, that's a key card. I think that is very sus.
I
So
recall that
yeah,
myself, and that's exactly what I thought when I read this as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a tragedy. The kids just want instant gratification nowadays, and I understand that. I want that too. I think one of the beauties, though, of my collection back here is that you literally can plug in any of these handhelds, consoles, that sort of stuff, and plug in a game, and it will work. And they stopped supporting the store on the 3DS and all that sort of stuff. Doesn't matter to me because I have actual like disc cards that I can slide on my 3DS, so that means I can continue to play it whenever I want. The sad thing here is these kids want that instant gratification now, and they will take anything because they're like, your grandpa, blah, blah, blah. But in 10, 20 years, when that system's been depreciated and no longer works, when they stick in these key cards, they are just pieces of plastic and trash that will do absolutely nothing. So I don't think that they understand the long-term effects here of what's happening. And I love that the internet is flipping out and pushing back on this and saying no to Nintendo, that you can't get away with this. But knowing the Pokemon fan base is so large, I don't think that this is going to make any difference. I think Nintendo's just going to be like, man, we can make too much money on this. And so they're going to forge ahead with what they're doing. So I don't think it's going to make a difference. But, Godspeed and best of luck to everyone who's posting those memes online, making fun of them for this.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it because why not? I think this has always been, this is going to be the test Pokemon for testing the game cards. I think this was never going to be intended as like a game that was going to be the blockbuster Pokemon hit. I think they're like, okay, let's get a Pokemon game released. We'll release it on a game card and see what the reaction is. And let's see if we can actually get away with this. And that way we have a Pokemon game in the wild that has and see if it sells, and we'll go through the metrics. I just think it's a confusing thing anyway. It's just the whole thing is wacky. I don't know. At this point, just get rid of them and just go digital. They want to. Nintendo is like hankering to go digital only, and
I agree, but we can't trust them digitally. That's where I come from. They haven't been in the online space long enough to be trusted. This is the first time with a Switch 2 that something's been backwards compatible digitally. I know other games and stuff like that have been, but they digitally have not supported this, and there's no guarantee that they're going to in the future, especially if they decide, oh, we need to get a new chip for our thing and the previous games aren't going to work, and they could pull that crap anytime. There's something, I don't know, for me personally, there's something about handhelds in particular, as you can see from my back wall, where I love having the actual carts that I can slide in there and turn on. So I definitely won't be supporting this. That being said, next year, if they say Super Mario Galaxy 3 is going to be on a key card, boys, I'm sorry, but I got to do it. I got to do it. Yeah. I'll eat it up for sure.
No, a Mario game on a game card would be fully blasphemous. We would not be supporting that.
I think people would lose their shit for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I would still have to secretly if I would.
No, but don't tell me if you do though.
Yeah, but I think that one would be so big that people. Yeah, people would lose their shit for sure. Yeah, that would be a controversy. Speaking of controversies, though, we have one more for you. Malding, tell us about Battlefield 6.
Yeah, chalk this under my mantra to never trust a corporation. This is from Zach Zwiesen at Kotaku. EA teamed up with the veterans charity group National Ranger Association and released a new cosmetic bundle in Battlefield 6 for Veterans Day in the US this week. It looks a lot like a charity bundle, but some fine print makes it clear that's not the case, as none of the proceeds from sales of the new pack are being donated to the veteran charity group. The Lead the Way cosmetic bundle costs $12, and if you head over to the Battlefield 6 online store, you'll see a preview image with text that states, quote, "Join Battlefield in our support of the National Ranger Association." But if you scroll down, you see in small text that EA clarifies that the pack isn't directly supporting vets. No portion of the Lead the Way pack sales is donated, it reads. In a blog post on Monday, EA explained that this isn't a charity pack, writing, "While proceeds of the Lead the Way pack are not allocated to charity, our independent donation to the National Ranger Association helps advance their important work for the Ranger community. We encourage you to learn more at their website and consider supporting their mission." So, boys, on a scale of 1 to 10 of shitty things that a mega corporation can do, with 10 being the shittiest, is this a 10 or an 11?
This is the 12. This is just stupid. Like, who cooked this up? Like, you have to know this is going to put you in a seriously tough spot. There's no talking around it. Even if they did a behind the scenes donation, you have something that public facing bundle that's being purchased, and the fine print is saying it's not going to the cause. That is beyond messed up. This game is already in a weird spot, considering because they already have released a very COD like skin that, like, people were saying, they weren't going to res people if they're wearing that skin. So they're already going back on the skin situation. They're doing this. I don't know. Battlefield seemed a little too good to be true, and I think we're kind of seeing some cracks in it right now.
Yeah, I hate to point fingers here, but I gotta be honest with you. I think this is a marketing issue. The way it's presented, the use of the words "join us supporting," the troops and the Rangers and that sort of stuff, leads you to believe that by buying this, you are joining them in supporting it. So it's like, you know what? You stepped on the rake here, and you could have avoided this black eye had you been more transparent. The fact that it says join us supporting and then this does not support, they clearly have a communication issue where they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Had they changed the headline, had they been clearer about this and what was going to happen, they could have avoided all of this. I think it's a communication mistake, and I point to the marketing team.
It's so dirty. I hope they get sued the ever-living shit out of them for this. But I'm sure that they can't, because it says in the fine print what it is. So but there's got to be some sort of lawsuit, misdirection or something, because it's absolutely nuts. And nowhere did they say actually how much money they're donating or donated or giving to the National Ranger Association. So it could have been $100 for all we know, and then they raked in a bunch of money from selling thousands.
Guarantee you they make more money on the bundles than without question. It's a scummy thing to do. You hate to see it.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that pretty much wraps up everything we've got for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on the podcast, please share with like 20 friends, especially with the holidays coming up. And on behalf of Matthew Moulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, thanks for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.